Welcome to Real Life Without Excuses. I am America's Supermom.
Yeah, I love how we had our own fall festival. Whenever, that was just too funny. That was fun.
Recognize who you are, what you'd like to see in your life, and who you'd like to partner with.
I love that. And, that's coming from a place of power.
She makes. I have written with women who have been through things I could not even imagine. You can tell the old story. Don't dwell on the old story because most of your friends are not trauma counselors.
All right. I am so excited to have you guys join us today. Welcome again back to the No Excuses panel. We are excited for you to join us today. As we just showed on the slide, we have quite a number of guests that are going to be here today to continue this conversation when it comes to men and emotional intelligence, emotional wellness. I don't know, however you want to frame it, but really having an opportunity to be authentic with a lot of the things that they may be experiencing. We're used to hearing about men being strong, not crying, and a number of things. So we are excited to continue this dialogue that we started earlier in February. So we welcome you to join us. Put your insights into the comments because we would love to hear what you have to say. And it looks like we're going to be having this repeat conversation, maybe not with emotional wellness, but other topics, as we have had quite a few men come forward to support us on this topic. So we are so excited. So I am LaChelle Adkins, also known as America's Supermom, mother of 15 children, and I love having conversations that a lot of times we label as hard. It's just something that we want to ignore. Maybe we want to just pretend that it doesn't exist. Well, I like to face them head on. So I'm excited to tackle this conversation today. But I work with women and I help them with the overwhelm of life, the overwhelm that happens from not having boundaries or feeling like you have to please others and not being able to manage your time. That is what I do on a regular basis. So I'm excited to be here with my co-hosts, and I am going to yield the mic to them for an introduction. So let's start with you, Raschell. How are you today?
I'm amazing. It's Tuesday and I'm alive and we're kicking and we're ready to go. So yeah, my name is Raschell Harlingten. I am the founder of Roots for Success. We are a company that really supports people in their transformation. I'm also a self-published author and a podcaster of the Transformational Soul Talks, where I really get to share so many people's stories worldwide of how they can change their life, how they've transformed it, where they were and where they are now. And I love that because if that one story supports somebody out there, helps them take that first step, then I've done my job.
Love that. Yeah. All right. And over to you, Misty.
Thank you. I love that too, Raschell, by the way. I'm Mistilei Wriston, Misty Lee from Campground TBD Publishing. I do a couple of things. I'm opening a campground and I'm also an author and publisher, and I help people write through it. Whatever it is, now what, and we write through it and we get through it. I also am a big fan of sobriety and massive changes in protecting that space. And that's some of the work I've done with LaChelle and Raschell is on the television show that we did together and on our podcast, just talking about protecting that space when you do decide to make a change or be vulnerable, like what we're going to talk about today. So I'm really excited to get some male input on today's show with the gentlemen today.
Love it. So, I want to take this time just really quickly before we have them on to talk about what are you most excited about? What's your burning question that you want to tackle today as we get into this conversation? And I know we don't have time to get into everything, and we welcome you all to put in the comments some questions that you have about emotional wellness or just engage in the conversation because it is very important for us to just kind of get started with this, but continue these conversations beyond today and where we're at right now. So we welcome you to kind of add your input, giving us examples or stories and things like that. And it's a great way to connect. This is really a opportunity of like-minded people finding it important to tell the truth on a lot of these things. So these are people that you resonate with. These are people that you can get on a Zoom call with. I'm all about networking. And so feel free to reach out, make connections, get on Zoom calls, because that's what this is all about. So Raschell, what are some things that you're excited about with today's conversation?
For me, I'm really excited to really sort of, I guess it would be sort of pick their brains and understand where they are emotionally and what they'd like to sort of debunk, what they'd like to say, hey, you know what, that's not really what it's about. That's not how we feel. And really listen to what they have to say, because this platform definitely is giving them an amazing place to have a voice and share so much of what women would like to know and we're not aware of. So definitely very excited about looking into that today.
Love it. And what about you, Misty?
I love to pick into kind of the brains, like you said, of that space of vulnerability. I have a 27-year-old who is a newborn developmentally, and I've had to learn to display that vulnerable place in public and make it okay to be vulnerable. And so I want to get the male perspective when they do big changes in their life, and how do they present and be vulnerable when making it maybe a big career change or a big financial change, and how do they just stand up and represent male emotion healthy for everybody to see and be an example. That's what I want to know, how they can do that, and how I can see that and identify that.
I love that. And we have a diverse background of individuals on the panel, and I even want to talk about a little bit of some of the conflicts with race. It is Black History Month, so that's going to be something that I would like to address, because as a leader, we get encountered with having leadership with all different backgrounds. And you got to love technology. I am at home, y'all. Phone is ringing. Some of our guests are at hotels. That's just how it is. You got to make it work. So I am excited to be joined with the panel now. So I'm going to be bringing them up. We're going to start with some intros. And I believe that Misty was going to be the first one with the first question. So I am excited for this conversation, and some of the people I haven't met yet. So this is going to be great for us to get connected. So welcome, gentlemen. We are so excited for you to be here today. And we're going to kind of tag team this, and we're like building the plane while we're flying. So just go with us. Those of you that are watching live, we are so excited for your engagement. I am not the best multitasker because, I'm over here. I got my book ready to take some notes. So, I do see that we have Mary, we have Raquel, we have Sia, Robert, and we appreciate you guys being here. There's a LinkedIn user. I don't know who that is, but we are so excited to see you today. So let's start with our intros. And after we conclude that, we'll have our first question. So we'll start with you, Christopher, because you're first on my screen.
Well, thank you, LaChelle and Raschell, for putting this together, and Misty as well. This is fantastic. If I have a little background noise, I'm here in a hotel here in Indianapolis speaking at an event. I'm a happily married man to my wife, Maria, the love of my life, a devoted father to my son, CJ, who is 15. When I'm not spending time with family, I dedicate myself to my clients as a business acceleration strategist, also as a professional keynote speaker. That's where I'm here today in Indianapolis. And I just love helping people to be more than what they're capable of doing, that they can become more of an impact through their experience, story, and capabilities. And I enjoy helping them to bring that out in what's important to them and what they're trying to accomplish.
Love that. And he's also my Facebook live coach. He's the one that got me started with doing what I do now. If it wasn't for him, I would not be here today. So I always want to give him his flowers for that. And next we have Manny. Welcome, Manny.
Hi all. Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Emmanuele Sembroni. As you can tell by the accent, I'm born and raised in Rome, Italy. So I'm Italian. I'm also American citizen, which that was like my biggest dream of my life. Sometimes I talk to my parents and they tell me, Manny, listen, we don't even know if you are your son. You know, we never left the town and you're just living in America, living the American dream. So this is something beautiful that I was able to accomplish along with my wife, which is American citizen. Again, born and raised in Rome, played professional soccer my entire life, played in 3 different countries. I played in Italy, I played in Switzerland, and I played in the United States in New York. I decided to retire from my professional soccer career a couple years ago, and I wanted to challenge myself a little bit more. So during the pandemic, I say, where do I see Manny in this world? What is my next mission now? And my mission is I want to help people with their money. I want to help people with the first thing that they think before they go to bed, you know, which is like, am I going to be able to get it and go over tomorrow? So this is my biggest mission now. Of course, I want to be also an inspiration for all those athletes that they are going to the transition and they are time passing from sports to nothing, basically. So I want to be that point of interaction for them, but also that hope that everybody's looking for. Thank you.
Love that. All right. And we are over to Mike.
Hey, LaChelle, how are you doing? Hey, do you see that, Michael Gayle? I love that shirt. It looks like a disco ball. You see how shiny that shirt is? Love it, man. Love it. All right. Well, I'll behave. I promised you I'd try to behave. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I was hoping you say no. All right. So if you don't know who I am, right, the redneck financial coach, love helping people, wealthy and just the rest of us, people like me. And I also teach LinkedIn community building without any BS. So really, I mean, I just realized almost 21 years of marriage to the same person. So that's saying a lot. I'm 41. So that's a patient woman. Yes, I can hear everybody now. Wow, what a lady. Yeah, you better believe it. It's saint. 2 cute little hillbilly daughters that thank their daddy, 10 and 4. And didn't have a guy friend until I was 12. So that helps out. So everything in my house to date still is female. And I prefer it that way. Even the dogs and everybody. I like to be the only guy around. But yeah, my whole thing is just to help more people. And really what me and you are all about is bridging the gap and seeking to understand. You know, before we go to everybody's viewpoints and whatnot, I think we ought to stop and see who we're talking to, right? What's in the inside of somebody that counts. And if they're good people and they mean well, we can figure it out and we can understand each other. If they're not good people or they're divisive or they're, spread hatred and mistrust, then I don't even engage in it. So I love to be on this type of panel. I love these type of guys here, and I'm excited about it.
Love that. We are glad that you're here. All right. And we have Luke Byron. Hey, Luke, over to you.
Yes, Luke Brian Smith. I don't know if it's showing everything, my full name. Yes, but yeah, thank you for having me here today. I appreciate it very much. And I want to say a little bit about myself. I'm a self-proclaimed self-empowerment music artist. And what that means is the music that I create is mainly hip hop based, but it's a different look. It's a different perspective. The lyrics are the intentions of the music that I'm inspired to create is to elevate consciousness really and motivate people and be positive. Give us a little bit something different than what we hear on the mainstream. With that mainstream appeal to it as far as the instrumentals and the way that I do it, so that when you listen to it, you wouldn't even know that you were listening to a positive song unless you really tune into what I'm saying. And that's really what I'm trying to do, especially with the youth nowadays. I also do some life coaching and some motivational speaking. I speak at several schools in my area and afar, and even some prison programs and some work release programs. I've spoken to people. But the thing about my life, the magical thing about my life is that I am so thankful that I've gotten into the point that I realize that life is a growth process. And, before I didn't know that. I just thought, this is how I am. I wasn't conscious of that. And so now it's exciting to wake up every day and just look forward to new people that I meet, to new information, to read books. I get excited about reading books. And
Me too.
if you would have knew the old me, books wasn't in my, I always knew how to read. I've never been illiterate, but I've never been drawn to books. But now I am. I'm drawn to like self-empowerment books, self-help, type books, Bob Proctor type, books, Napoleon Hill, and just many others, Louise Hay, many others. And it's amazing. And through my experience, contrary to what a lot of people might think, or what I used to believe, that you are especially helpful to other people when you've been through a lot of adversity and when you're still going through it. I'm a firm believer in you teach best what you yourself need to learn because you're more passionate about it. So that's me in a nutshell. Right.
Well, we are so glad you're here. Hey, speaking my language with the books. Yeah. My husband doesn't appreciate it sometimes. I'm always coming home with more of them, but they're cheaper sometimes than shoes, but I don't know. Sometimes they're not because I don't put a price tag on some education. So thank you for being here.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. We're over to you, Michael Gayle.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on. Michael Ashabraner, thank you so much for the introduction to LaChelle. I am a soon-to-be married to Elizabeth Carpenter, love of my life. It took a while. I have 2 daughters, one 21 and one's 11. I'm proud of them both. I have the oldest of 3, so I have 2 younger sisters. I'm a Pilates instructor and a longtime fitness person of 26 years. I am an adventurer. I've led trips all around the world from Antarctica to Svalbard, Norway, to Argentina, you name it. So my purpose in life is to lift people up and get them to fall in love with fitness, to fall in love with the outdoors, to move past fear into adventure, and to do that without substances. So from an emotional wellness component, I found the outdoors and fitness to be an uplifting thing that men can do to gain higher levels of emotional fitness, emotional wellness. So I am a healer at the center. I'm all about lifting people up. That's the reason I'm here. And again, it's a pleasure to be here with you all.
Thank you so much for being here, Michael. So glad to see you. And then we have Nick. Nick is all the way from across the world. So please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm kind of the token Brit, right? So I thought I was going to be the only one actually, but then Manny impressed me with his Italian stuff there, talking football. I'm like, right, okay, I'm going to top this. So I'm not sure I am. Everybody else has been so impressive. I'm like, oh my God, there's nothing that I can say. I'm pretty good at Connect 4. Monopoly, I'm a champion at. All the other stuff, I don't think I'm going to blow anybody out of the water today. So what am I doing? Okay, so I'm a self-proclaimed smile chaser. I'm admittedly, I am a recovering alpha male. What other impressive titles can I throw in there? I like to tell jokes on social media, and my side thing is that it is good for mental health. And I like to come at mental health from a slightly different angle, in that it is not and doesn't have to be a completely depressing topic. And actually, there's a lot of positivities that we can talk about with mental health, not just the negativities. And we can talk about how the good chemicals can outweigh the bad chemicals in the brain if we talk more positively about mental health. And I'm kind of championing the fact that it's okay for big guys to cry, and that we have tear ducts for a reason. So that's kind of one of the things that I'm championing. Biologically, we are not really that much different to females. So why are we so poor at talking about how we're feeling inside? So that's kind of a little bit of what I'm championing. But I've definitely not got anything as impressive as everybody else. World beaters, a lot of them. Anyway, that's me. Thank you very much.
We are so glad you're here, because you know what? Humor goes a long way with hard conversations. So we're excited for you to be here. And next we have Dominic. So good to see you. You're muted.
Good afternoon. My apologies for my tardiness. Somehow I ended up with the wrong link.
Oh.
So I'm here nevertheless. I'm an everyday guy, advocate for many things, especially those that involve physical and mental wellness. I'm a small business owner, brother, father, nephew, friend, and I'm just happy to make any type of contribution to broaden the awareness and decrease the stigma associated with mental wellness in general. So thank you so much for inviting me, LaChelle.
Love it. Well, we are going to get started with some great questions. And I am just impressed with this panel. It is good to take time to kind of see that, you know, we're all here at the table and we are bringing so many different perspectives, but we're able to have this conversation and move a lot forward for not just those that are here at the table, but for everybody, even those watching. So we thank all of the people that are here with us in spirit and those that are in the comments. We appreciate it. So I'm going to yield the mic to you, Misty, for our first question.
Well, thank you. So I'm going to direct my question to Manny, and I would invite anyone else who would like to give a follow-up to maybe make a motion or raise their hand somehow so LaChelle will know who to call on. But I have a disabled child. He's 27. He's about a newborn developmentally. He's about 4 months developmentally. And so over the last 27 years, I've had the opportunity to learn how to be graceful as a mother of a disabled child, to learn how to be gracefully coming out of some mental health, pretty challenging times, and to gracefully become sober 9 years ago, and then to lose a lot of weight. And I didn't do any of it anonymously because I want to be able to tell people it's okay to be vulnerable. So my question, Manny, because I went the other way. I went from a very corporate world out to my publishing world, and you went from a sports world into a corporate world. And I'm curious if you had to take any additional steps to protect yourself, or did you run into any challenge being able to emote that freely, that vulnerable space of changing careers? So I'll just ask for your opinion on that.
No, thank you for sharing your story, and I'm impressed about your strength and the way that you're reacting in challenges, which is like probably the reason number one why everybody's here today. So God bless you and everything that you're doing for your family. Very proud of you. Very happy for you as well. On my side, it was a challenging transition because you have to work on your identity, which is, okay, I was programmed mentally to be a professional athlete and to compete and win. And a lot of time you lose, which is majority of time. So the more the losing than the winning, but that's what makes you the person that you are right now, and that growth that I really enjoy through struggle times. But my transition was, okay, how do I rebuild myself and taking care of me now instead of taking care of that athlete that I was for 26 years. And I did that through, of course, tremendous support from my wife, because, of course, imagine an athlete that all of a sudden stopped going to the field and running and kick balls and that adrenaline and that, you know, that under the spotlight type of situation to completely it's you versus you. So nobody seems to remember you all of a sudden, right? So support is very important, but also you gotta have the courage to challenge yourself, put yourself out there. I went back to school at age of 32, went back to Penn State University to get my finance degree, you know, and then this is how they connected me with Mass Mutual, which is the company that I'm appointed with right now. And it takes like one small step in action to get you then to multiple step forward. So, I mean, the bottom line is find the courage to challenge yourself and don't worry too much, because people will judge you anyway. So for me, I don't care. I use the negative feedback as strength for me to develop even I'm more stronger person.
I love that. And I love that you said to keep challenging yourself, because that's what I found in all of my transitions. I needed to redefine a challenging place for me, because I kind of enjoyed the award-winning part of my corporate life. I just didn't enjoy the work part. So I had to really fill that space of challenge. So I love that you have brought that's the same challenge for men as well. Just rebuilding that excitement into your life so that you can take care of yourself. I love that.
Chris is going to answer that as well. Chris Salem.
Okay. Well, thank you, Manny, for that. I appreciate your feedback. All right, Chris, how about you?
Well, thank you, Misty. And hopefully the background noise won't be too loud. But I think Manny really said a lot of great things there, and I can relate 100% in so many different roles that I've had, throughout my life, whether if that was, just as a brother, as a husband, as a boss, as a worker, whatever that may be. But with that being said, I know for myself, that change is inevitable. It's going to happen with or without you. And I was one of those people that had been conditioned growing up from my father that you resist change. You if you feel something, you don't express it. And because I bottled a lot of my emotions growing up, I grew up a codependent. I was a passive aggressive in terms of my communication and behavior, meaning that I got my passiveness from my father because I was always seeking his validation growing up because he was never around, and I would always seek it out in other people. And I would say yes to everything. And then I was also aggressive because I got that from my mother, who was a perfectionist, and everything had to be perfect. And when I was living this passive aggressive type of lifestyle in terms of how I related to people, I resisted change. I saw things happening to me, not for me. And I was constantly living in this spectrum of either strain and burnout or complacency and boredom. I was never in the middle, like where harmony exists, where I was stretching myself. It was one end of the spectrum to the other. And then because of that, it really played a lot on my emotions. And I acted out, in terms of, out of anger and add 12 years of addiction to, to escape that way of feeling. But it impacted everything I did in terms of how I worked, people working for me working for someone else. I would sabotage great opportunities only to start out strong again and do the same thing over and over. So when it comes to change, I learned over the last 24 years, these are the two things that have allowed me to change for the better. Number one is transparency, to be transparent of who I am and where I'm at. And, not that I'm airing my dirty laundry, but to be open to people, because I've been taught that transparency was a weakness from my father. And, I had to be vulnerable. Again, vulnerability as a man we've been taught that vulnerability is weak, when in reality, it is a strength. And when I learned how to be transparent and vulnerable, but in a healthy way where someone wouldn't take advantage of me, having those boundaries, I had the ability now to learn how to think differently, think from intention rather than expectation. Because when I was thinking from expectation, my mind was in the past and the future where fear thrives. And that because fear thrives, when you're in the past and future, it clouds your judgment, your clarity, your ability not to focus on the things that are really important. And you tend to get caught up in the things you cannot control. And that is situations and other people. So I've learned that by operating in the moment from intentions, I can be now focused on the control I can control, and that is me. I can control my communication to myself and others, my behavior in an interdependent, not a codependent way, being assertive, not passive aggressive. My behavior, my attitude, it's happening for me, not to me. Big difference. My emotions, that I respond to things or situations and people, not react. I can choose to respond in a favorable way or from a secondary emotion, not the primary emotion that might be negative. That's not going to serve where I'm at that point. And then taking action. When I've learned how to focus on those 5 things I can control and let go of those same 5 things in other people and situations, it dramatically, allowed me to adapt to change to see things for what it is, not what I would like it to be. And that's what changed just the whole perspective of how I look at life in business. And it's called trusting the process. And when I've learned how to do that and give without expectation, from empathy and kindness, not pleasing and enabling, I've been able to receive without resistance the things that serve me, to then fill my cup and repeat and be the example and be a resource for others to do the same. Game changer. So I embrace change. I see it as an opportunity to grow. I embrace challenges. I see it as an opportunity to grow. I don't run away from them.
I love that. And I think that's one of the keys that I like to talk about too, is that transparency and that vulnerability. The more we do that, the less there is a society of judgment, because we're showing that new way of doing this. So when someone says, well, society doesn't let men or doesn't let women, you can just say, I'm here, I'm part of society. I can show you how to do this. So I love that you address the vulnerability and the strength in it, because I find the same to be true for women. We have a flip side. We're allowed to emote, but we kind of get looked at as a little bit crazy if we do. So I like to show a way to emote fully without letting those labels get on me. So I appreciate that feedback about those specific strengths. Thank you very much for answering my question, guys. Thanks, LaChelle.
You're welcome. All right. And we had Mike, you had something you wanted to add to that last comment?
Yeah, just real quick. Can you hear my mic? Is it working now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just love what Christopher said. I mean, honestly, that's kind of my opinion. Again, it's my opinion. I think some other people here that I know would share it. But instead of redefining man, I think about putting the word good in front of the word man. That's how I look at it. Like, I think that's really how I, and a lot, again, I've got 92%, women in my business network community. And I think we should just define that for ourselves. But I agree with what Christopher said.
Mm-hmm.
Operate in the moment. I think in my life, things got drastically better. It wasn't easy. It was a hell of a painful process, but it was hard in the beginning to take responsibility and accountability for me, my actions, my attitude. Once I realized that it was all me, if something wasn't good, if the family wasn't good, the wife wasn't good, if people wasn't responding to me, it was me. I had to fix it or just whine about it. So I think 1000% that Christopher earned the title of the adjective good man. Because to me, that's someone who is trying to become better and his best self, taking responsibility. I think that's the first step for anybody to change their situation, is to change your butt first. So I love that.
I love that. All right. So we are over to Raschell for your question. Time is going, y'all. It's just not enough time. This is some good stuff. I got tons of notes over here. Okay. And only 2 people said something. So go ahead, Raschell. We're over to you.
Absolutely. My name is Raschell. So Harlingten. So as a podcaster, I get to ask so many incredible questions. And one I'd like to ask you guys is, what is one common myth about men around emotional relationships that you'd like to debunk? And I'm going to open it to anybody who'd like to go first.
Love it. Gotta love it,
yeah.
Can you say the question? Can you ask the question again?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So, what is one common myth about men around feeling emotionally safe in relationships that you'd like to debunk?
I like to take this one. Okay, so I would say aggressiveness, or the ability to be not necessarily aggressive, but to be a manly man. Okay, and I'll explain that. So I'm a prior service U.S. Marine. I'm a adventurer. I'm a Tom Brown Native American trained scout. I'm a ski mountaineer. I love adventure. I love intensity. I'm also a cross-country ski racer. I'm out to race this Saturday, 35 miles. And there's a lot of intensity that goes on. I'm a martial artist all my life, boxing, tons of martial arts. I'm a Pilates instructor. So as much as I have these aggressive, what some would look at as aggressive, or someone who's an intense person, I have a loving, very, very loving heart. Like I mentioned, I have 2 daughters that I love dearly. I have a fiance that I love more than anything. I have 2 sisters that mean the world to me. I have a mother who I'm very, very close with. I grew up in a family where I went to the recitals in ballet. I took my mother to several ballet concerts, productions in Philadelphia. So it's easy to look at a person from the outside and say, okay, this person has muscles. This person looks aggressive. This person's a Marine. This person's a trained fighter. And to say, okay, well, this person's X. And in actuality, I think what we need to do is look at the person, look at that person's heart and see what the intent is and see what their character is. Because I've certainly been judged by many, but I continue to be vulnerable. I continue to be open. Continue to be candid because my business is about loving people. That's what I do for a business. It's about lifting people up so that they feel comfortable. I have to feel comfortable in that space. So when we're outdoors and we come in contact with a grizzly bear or a moose, that they're comfortable, right? That everything's okay, that I stay composed because I'm confident. And I think that confidence in a physical sense relates over to the emotional confidence. And I think that can be a good thing. I don't think there needs to be an aggressive tendency there. And I think many would have judged me as an aggressive person because of my life experiences, not knowing that I have these other life experiences, right, to balance it out. The ballet, the theater, the Ritz-Carlton Hotel trained employee, the Four Seasons Hotel trained. I've trained at the best places in Minnesota for fitness. I've worked for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, there's a lot of experiences that make a person, not just a few things that say, okay, well, this person is going to be aggressive. I would encourage people to get to know the person and what is their heart, what is their intention, who are they as a person, and explore that first, because I think there's a lot of people be surprised by what they find out.
Wow, that's a great answer. Thank you so much. Does anybody else want to add to that?
I see Nick's up. He'd like to say something real quick, but I'm going to have a hard stop here in about 15 minutes. The one myth I'd like to dispel with the permission of Nick is just simply that men are okay. The general concept that all men are okay is just generally not true. And one thing that will help people understand the truth is if they see abnormal behavior like excessive drinking, excessive food eating, excessive, take your pick. There are things that they'll demonstrate that, or things that they'll do to compensate for weaknesses or experiences that they're having that they may be having difficulty processing. And that's the myth that I'd like to dispel, is that sometimes, generally speaking, men are not okay. So when you look at the behavior coupled with the stigma of not being able to kind of share with other people, it compounds and amplifies some of the weight that goes along with just not being light enough to accept that everything is going to be okay. You just need to find a healthier way or to deal with it, or an outlet to speak about it, which one outlet includes therapy.
Wow.
Can I ask a quick question to Dominique?
Yes.
Because I know he's going to be off the call soon, and I want. So, as a female, what would be the best way that a woman could ask a male? Hey, like, what's the right introduction to that? And I know it's not a blanket statement, but that's where I find a trouble of I'm single, so I don't ever want to come across inappropriate to come up and say, hey man, I'm a little concerned about you, but I want to check on men. So I'm curious.
Absolutely. Good question. Two things you can do. One is you can ask the same question twice. How you doing? How you really doing?
Okay.
And to that second question, for some reason, it softens the outer shell and opens the door and invites the man to maybe share something that he would otherwise not. We live in a surface society where, how you doing? I'm great. I'm having an awesome day. The other thing that you can do if you're coupled, and this works both ways for men and women, is just simply asking your partner, is there anything that I can do to love you better today? And that
love that
the door for some dialogue. So if you create the habit of establishing a safe space, it dissipates over time the drudgery of holding some of that stuff in, and decreases some of the fear that he or she might have in actually getting used to actually sharing something that's not really acceptable or hasn't been that well accepted. And we're just getting to the point now where, you know, talking about mental wellness is really good. So those two things.
Okay, thank you very much. Didn't mean to derail the question, but it was hot on my head, so I appreciate that. I know we have another speaker. Thanks, Raschell, for letting me pop in.
Absolutely, no problem. Was there anybody else? I think it was one more person, or no? We're good.
I think it was Nick.
Nick.
It was me. Yeah. So a couple of things that I would bring up. Depends on how long I've got to answer this question. But I think there's a misconception that mental health or mental strength is connected to physical strength, and the two are not connected in any way. The last time I checked, you know, my biceps have no control over how good I am at containing a particular situation. So I think that is a misconception, and that touches a little bit on Michael's point. The problem is, we are talking about undoing generations worth of harm here. I mean, you have heard people talk about the strong and silent type, right? That's used in America. You say that term there, right?
I believe so. That is said. I'm in Canada, but yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We say
You
the
have
strong
heard,
and
you've
silent.
heard the terminology. He's the strong
Yeah.
and silent type, as if that is to be admired, that he is strong and silent. So he can lift heavy things. He says not very much. That is something to be respected. I'm not sure it is. I mean, we see it quite a lot where this strong person is quite aggressive, and they're described as not very emotional. But actually, that aggression in itself is usually a release of quite a lot of emotion in itself. So I think the misconception that mental strength and physical strength are connected, they are not. They're two completely separate things for me. I just want to challenge Dominic a little bit, by the way. I am never asking a woman how I can love her better, because I am being told that I need to go to the shop more often. I should spend more money on food. I should do an array of things that I am not willing to do. I will never ask that question. I'm just putting it out there. Maybe it's different in America. I'm not asking anybody how I can love them better, because they may take advantage of that.
That's good.
And I think, again, but just to back up Dominic on something, actually, because he said ask the question twice, and I completely agree. And I'll give you a scenario that I had. We're going back 10 or 11 years, but I remember my wife at the time had had a miscarriage, and it was quite a few months in, so it was quite nasty. And we were in the hospital, and everybody was kind of fussing around my wife at that time. And nobody really said anything to me. And there was one nurse that walked up to me and she went, "Are you okay?" And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then she pulled me to one side and she went, "No, you're not okay, are you?" And I literally broke down in front of her. And I didn't know I was going to break down. I thought I was okay until she actually seemed to really care whether I was or not. And then I just lost it completely. And I didn't even know where it came from myself. So I think Dominic's advice, though I don't agree with asking, how can I love you better? I completely agree with asking the question twice. So you're opening a can of worms for you there, Sunshine, and I ain't joining you on that.
Wow.
Love that. That was awesome. Did you have anything you wanted to reply with that, with Raschell?
No, I love it. I love how the answers are diverse and different, but somewhat the same. So it gives a lot of context to what I've asked.
Love that. And this is just a great dialogue, because you mentioned something about undoing. I didn't get a chance to write it down. I got distracted with that joke you were saying, but it's kind of the concept of unlearning a lot of things that we have learned over time.
Undoing
And
generations of harm. We are talking about men being told not to cry when they cut themselves, when they hurt themselves, to fight back. If he hits you, hit him harder. We're going back. We're pretty much going back to caveman era, where we're arguing against our own biology here.
I love that.
Well, and if I may, I think, LaChelle, this is going to be a beautiful segue, because to me, and I mean, I'm clearly white, but the race question is generations of miscommunication, and so is the men emotional. So we, whether it's race, which I know you're going to talk about, or men emotioning, or women or showing our emotions, we are the opportunity to stand up and say, this, I know what they've been doing, but this is our place. Like you said, to stand up and just say, no, I'm going to be honest with who I am. I'm not going to tolerate this behavior, and I'm only going to seek out this. So I think that leads back to you, LaChelle, about how does race tie into this?
Absolutely, because I think, part of showing up, being your authentic self, is really accepting who you are as a whole person. And I think this is a good segue. Mike and I had a conversation earlier this week about, how do you approach some of these topics in a way that's emotionally healthy? Understanding that we're coming from different perspectives, but having a conversation to where we can air out our differences, but come together for a common goal to be accomplished. So, Mike, I know we had talked about it, but I want to give Lute the opportunity to say his piece, and then we'll go to you.
To talk about what you just said?
Yeah, because I know you said that you do something that's somewhat non-traditional when it comes to music, just using that as an example. And not only could we think about it with race, it also could be with generations, with the type of music we listen to, even though the message is written differently through music. It could be poetry. It could be country music, right? So how do we tackle some of these things? And even like generations, I listen to some music that I know my kids are like, I don't want to hear that, but I'm trying to get them to hear the message, So how do we have these kind of hard conversations, or, just start opening up a dialogue to where people can feel comfortable talking about something that is obviously sometimes uncomfortable?
Right. And thank you for that question, and also mentioning my music as well, because that's a prime example. Because a lot of times when you mention a certain genre of music to someone, they have their own genres that they like or don't like, and that's okay. I'm not disputing that, because that's the same with me too. But oftentimes, because of what's and you'll see, I'm getting the point I'm getting to. I'll try to make it as brief as possible. But hip hop music per se, a lot of people that don't listen to hip hop, they already have a mindset of what they think about it. So I've been fortunate to have a lot of people over the years from a many different areas and walks of life that aren't really fond of that genre of music, but they're a fan of mine because of what I put into it. So that helps to break down walls, and I get to talk to people, especially on my podcast, that normally I wouldn't have talked to unless the music that I was inspired to create kind of gave us a common thing to talk about. So yeah, that's one of the ways that I do it, is through music and things like that. But another one is just I think we all have a common goal, and just happiness. So when I'm focusing on like inner peace, and that's usually my subject matter, like inner peace and happiness and being a better person. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I think that's something that everybody wants. Everyone wants to, or at least everybody that I've encountered, they want to be better in some way, even if they don't put forth the effort. I think everybody has an interest, and and just being happy and at peace and finding it, you know, within themselves is where I talk to people about doing it, instead of looking for that happiness in material things. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, because, you know, in my Western culture, you know, you need, you know, in a lot of places in the world, you need monetary, you know, wealth to live a certain amount of time, a type of life, and give you more time and freedom and, you know, all those things. But that, like I said, the music that I'm inspired to create and the subject matter that I focus on does break that ice in for you to talk to just people that don't look like you, or people that look like you, people that are on your same economic level, and those that aren't. And I've been fortunate enough, it's been proven, you know, with that it does work. So yeah, through music and through talking about if you've been through something and you're able to share how you are overcoming it, or how you got through that opens up dialogues with people, I think, because everybody has something that they're overcoming or going through or have been through. And I think we're all common in that area where, hey, how'd you get through that? Oh, you got a divorce. How'd you get through that? You lost everything. How'd you bounce back? You had health, cancer. How'd you bounce back out of that? You were afraid to take that first step towards starting that LLC or the corporation. How'd you do that? What, you know, so just development, personal development, self-empowerment. I think that just opens up dialogues, and that's,
I love that.
Like you said, my music, that's what that focuses on, and the dialogue that I, you know, that I engage in my show as well. So
I love that. That is awesome. And we lost Chris, we lost Dominic. They had to go. So we want to thank them for being here, and love that answer, because it takes the anxiety out of different perspectives. You know, when we think about what we have in common, it helps us to build from there. You know, even just men and women being here, you know, we're different, but we're coming together on a common topic, on a common goal. So if you start there, you know, it can just build from there. So Mike, I want to give you the opportunity to share.
And I appreciate it. I love what you said, man. That's, you know, I stand for that. And before I give my little 2 cents, I want to say that the conclusion that all these guys seem to share. All right, I know some personal. I've seen you. The conclusion is that it's kind of a breath of fresh air, because they use their experiences and who they become and help others. The conclusion of that is they tell their story to help other people to escape the suffering and time it takes to do it. And I think so. Back on this, how do you bridge the gap? Well, look, I'm me and other people that I help and coach, and guys like Nick and Michael Gale. First of all, it starts with us. Stop blaming your wife and your kids and your business and all that stuff, man. Stop it, knock it off, look in the mirror and say, what's really bothering me? And the hard part is you peel that onion and that layer, you're going to find out, spoiler alert, it's you, right? Because if something's going on that you don't like, it's up to you to fix it. Nobody else is going to fix it for you. All right. So it takes leadership. And whether so for me, it was looking in and doing the hard work. And then the natural consequence of that is to look forward at other people. Because now that you understand yourself better, now you're able to understand other people. She's just not being a whatever or a mean lady. She's got problems like you have problems, and you're just a step ahead. So I think when you understand and work through your own crap, you're vastly more compassionate, even empathetic to other people's crap. And I have built a community on that, bridging the gap. That's why these guys are here in the Hounds, because they're real men. And that was kind of weird when they came in. I'm like all hackled up, you know, like a wolf, you know, but they're good dudes. That's because I didn't know they were just, you know, they're like-minded people, and they want good things for others. They're not, you know, they don't have to lead. They'll lead if they have to, but they'll also sit back, and Sia's in the audience. I sit back to her like, you know, I love the fact she can lead. I love not having to lead. Right. So I surround myself with people and build trust. And I think it starts with that heart attitude of, you know, me and Becky, right? Me and Becky are very close. She helped build this community on and offline. And we can talk today like we couldn't talk the first day. So I think it's real important, especially for men, to build a trust with somebody. Don't air your dirty laundry at somebody who will hurt you or break you down. You got to find people and confide in people that'll lift you up. And I mean, if you're looking, there's how many men on this panel? Like, there you go. Start there. Send a message there. But be careful, don't throw your pearls to pigs kind of thing, but also don't hold it in like a little knot. There's guys out there who won't call you a sissy for trying to man up and make the world a better place, but start with yourself. It's like Luke said, get a book, self-help section, talk to people. I think once you get that done, the rest will kind of go downhill in a good way.
Love that. That was great. And, like I said, there's just not enough time. You guys have definitely shared some great comments. And so I want to go around because we are getting close to the hour with your final thoughts, your final takeaways, anything that you want to leave the audience with. So we'll start with you, Luke Byron Smith.
Yes, I want to elaborate on. I forgot your name with that you just spoke. I can't really see it.
Me, LaChelle. It's LaChelle.
No, that just spoke
Mike.
on the
Mike.
The guy with the hat.
Mike.
He goes by LaChelle as well.
I want to elaborate on what he said because it just really resonated with me what he just said about how it all rolls downhill. When you put, I believe that when you focus your energy on something, you don't have to know the next step, and things will just start opening up. So like you said, you get that self-help book. You don't have to say, okay, what do I do next? When you start gearing yourself to setting your intentions and your mindset that I'm focusing on just being a better me, taking a responsibility, those next steps will illuminate and they'll just keep going and things will just open up. And that happened with me. I didn't know a few years back, like, hey, maybe about 6 years ago, I'd say my transformation process began, and it's just just amazing things have come from it. Amazing people I've talked to, amazing places I've traveled to, and it's just my whole world opened up, and it's just amazing. And I'm still, I consider myself, I like to say this, a work in progress and a masterpiece simultaneously. But back to what he said, what Mike said, it's just, I agree with that totally. Everything just starts to just unfold.
Well, we are so glad that you were here. You definitely gave us some good nuggets. And I love that whole thing about the transformation because it's true. We're constantly evolving. At least we should be. Anything that's just idle, eventually you're going to die in that spot, so you got to keep moving. You got to keep progressing. And so it's a daily change. So appreciate everything that you've said. And what's the best way for those that are watching to get a hold of you?
You can find me on you can email me at 333empower. So 333empower@gmail. You can find the same 333empower on Instagram, on YouTube as well. Watch, I have my music up there, my Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved podcast, where I'm probably about 150 interviews in. I took a hiatus from it, but it's starting back soon, better than ever. But yeah, just look up that or find me under Luke Bryan Smith, LootBryon Smith. You can Google that name and see everything. I'm the only one on the internet when you Google that.
I love that. Well, we again thank you so much for being a part of the crew, and we look forward to having you back again with more dialogues. This is great. So we're going to go over to you, Manny. What are your final thoughts?
I want to go with a final thought that is a personal story, because I believe the story are real experiences that can impact a lot of people because they can relate with this. So the other day I was on the phone with one of my mentors, one of the people that I trust the most, and she's a woman, and she told me, Manny, you do everything with your heart. You had to let it go a little bit. You got to learn how to let it go. And in my mind, I got the best part of it, in terms of, okay, that's your growth sign on how to let it go, not forever, because it's not a no now, but it's a future yes. But move forward, with that situation. But in my mind, I was always, I'd rather die heartbroken than don't try.
Love that. Well,
yes. So to me, it's like find who you are, find your purpose, just go for it all the way.
Yeah. Now, so I am so glad that you were able to join us. I know you're out of town and appreciate you giving us your time, but tell everybody what's the best way for them to get a hold of you as well.
Sure. You can easily go to my LinkedIn page. It's Emmanuele with double M, Sembroni. And just feel free to DM me over there to connect with me. It's my pleasure to just know your story, learn more about you, and then we can take it from there. I'm a guy that loves to build relationship. It doesn't matter if it leads to nothing, but knowing about stories, I think is very good both sides to grow together.
Love that. And I love having a celebrity on the panel. He is was a professional soccer player. Okay, go figure. So this is great. All right. So we are over to you, Michael Gayle.
Yes. So the big takeaway, final thoughts, for many men, it's difficult to be vulnerable. And I found that men need other good men in their circle, other good men that are about lifting others up. To be around that is only going to increase the probability, from what I've found teaching and coaching, for men to talk about things that they have held inside. So we need other good men to be around us. And I think through experiences such as, things outdoors, fitness, adventure, men bond through experiences. Why not get outside, do some adventures together, and make that a new trend for men to open up and to grow and to thrive at this time. I mean, that's what I want. And that's why I'm on the call, right? It's because I'm a big cheerleader to see men do well. Yes, I want women to do well as well. But I like to see men do well, and especially in this time and era we're in. So that's my final thoughts. Let's move together. Let's be healthier together. Let's lift each other up. Let's be in a circle of other good men. What could be better?
Love that. And we wish you much success on your race that's coming up. Want to see pictures and all that. I'm excited for you. And what's the best way for everybody to get a hold of you as well?
So my company, my first name's Michael, last name is Gayle. So it's M as in Michael, Gayle, Gayle, Outdoor, OUTDOOR, Adventures, plural, ADVENTURES.com. Go to my website or just look at me on LinkedIn, Facebook. Most of my stuff's on LinkedIn. And then send me a connection request. I'd love to connect with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for being here. And we're over to Nick. Nick, what are your final thoughts?
I've got some impressive final thoughts, much better than everybody else's so far, I've got to say. No, not really. If I was to pick out one thing that I was going to say, it would be, don't let saying the wrong thing terrify you so much that you don't say anything, because in this PC world that we live, where we're scared of, we can't say commit suicide because it's die by suicide. There's so many different things when we're talking about mental health that you are terrified about saying the wrong thing, that you say nothing. It's better to say something and get it a bit wrong and let someone know that you care than say nothing, which is what I see a lot of. So that's one. And the other thing I'd say, mental health is a pretty trendy topic at the moment, right? And we are all jumping on this bandwagon, but actually actions speak louder than words. So if we're really going to do something about it, go to work and talk about it, talk openly about it, not just on calls like this or when you're amongst friends. If you're actually going to champion it, it's very easy to say it. It's much harder to do it. And then in terms of getting hold of me, because I know you're asking everybody that, so you'll need to go to my OnlyFans page or No, not really. No, you won't. It's Big Bad British Daddy-O. No, it's not really. It's if you want to get hold of me and my company,
I can't with you.
It's engage-ment.com.
Okay.
Just check me out. Have a look at my LinkedIn profile. There's a million ways to get hold of me, and it'll be lots of fun as well. And I can talk to you about mental health. Book me, and I will come to America. I want to come to America and do training and inspire you all, which I know I will. So come. Okay. There you go.
That.
That's my bit. There you go.
I love it. You got to have people.
I was starting to write down that Big Bad Daddy-O. I like that.
I did the same thing. I crossed it out. Okay.
Oh my wow, this guy must be a big deal.
You had us going. Okay.
Oh,
Love it. All right. So Mike, I mean, please give us a little reprieve because I know you've got jokes too. So we're over to you. What are your final thoughts?
I was told by a good friend of mine to behave, and then Nick comes in acting like a circus monkey. So thank you, Nick. You opened the door for me. I'll behave for an hour. Too damn long. All right.
I'll never apologize to you ever.
I know. Hey, you could come to the States, but as soon as you say Alamanum, dude, you're out. All right. Don't say that word and you're fine. You can stay in my shed and free room and board. All right, brother. All right. So I want to change why I can't to why the hell not. I'm so sick and tired of seeing people stuck because they can't, they told they couldn't. Just do something. Look, again, we say it a million times, man. Have courage. Now, I don't have confidence. Of course you don't. You don't know what the hell you're doing. Have courage to look goofy if that's what it takes, because you ain't gonna look goofy long. You'll seek wisdom, learn more from the experience, etc. And that's what these guys are about. So, again, I don't see no non-real men here, so I don't know what the invitation's open. Number two, like Michael Gale said on his on Raschell's show the other day. I mean, he says, "Look, you gave me the laundry list of reasons you can't be successful or do it. Now give me at least one." Well, hell, it takes a lot of time for you to sit around and think of one reason why you should get started, why you should try it. But do it anyway. Again, and last thing, country people, I'm speaking to you. Stop going fishing every weekend and leaving your family at home. That's bad business. Don't do it. I'm sick of take them with you or just don't go fishing. I don't go fishing because if I take the family fishing, they scare the fish off, get tangled up, and it sucks. And I lost 2 rods in the lake. So I don't go fishing. There's other things to do to have fun. Stop leaving your family at home. I'm sorry I had to say it, but all right. You can send the hate mail to me or Nick Smethurst. You can send it to him.
Or they can just, Mike, you could buy the property with the lake on it. That's what I did here. So I fish here, so I don't have to leave anyone. So it's fine.
Hey, you're right. Just like Luke said, you know what I do? I just get a stick now because if I throw the stick in the river, I don't care. Like, it's fine. So
you're done.
Again, go. Yeah. So you can contact me on the LinkedIn carrier pigeon. That's the best way to do it. I appreciate you all. It's great stuff, man.
Well, we want to thank all of you guys for being here. This really has been a great conversation. We've got some great takeaways, and we appreciate all of you gentlemen for being here. And the consensus from the comments is that there should be a part 3. So hopefully, we'll be able to make that happen. You guys definitely have given us lots to think about. So we appreciate all of you guys for being here. So thank you guys so much. And we are going to say goodbye to you all, and we're going to do our outro. So thank you guys so much for being here, and looking forward to maybe a part 3.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So that was awesome. I've got tons of notes.
I do too. Including one I had to scratch out. I had to scratch that one out, though.
I was about to start writing. I was like, wait.
I was too. I crossed it right off. But so.
And I'm new to technology. So I'm all like, what is it? Oh, no, I've heard about this.
So tell me, what are your takeaways? So, Misty, we'll start with you. What did you get from today?
Well, I think my favorite nugget was the second question. And I have seen that in real life, that are you okay? Are you really okay? And I love that. And I like, you know, again, being the one who's not anonymous, I want to get really comfortable just coming up to someone and going, is there anything I can do? No, I'm fine. Okay. I'm still here. If you change your, just give it that 30-second pause. Like this is 30 seconds gives that most humans enough time to go, yeah, actually, can I just get a little help? You know, like this, so give them a minute. So I love that. That was my favorite takeaway, is just honoring that space for them to answer.
Yeah. Well, and I also want to acknowledge our two guests. They did have to pop out before we could hear their takeaways. That was Christopher and Dominic. So we definitely want to shout them out. And I'll be sure to make sure that I put their contact information in the comments. But this has just been a great, great time. I want to just really acknowledge all the people that joined us. You know, I'm just not the best multitasker. And you saw the jokes that they were saying. I mean, we were over here taking notes off of
right. Well, so I have a question. What were you
thing that he was saying?
What was your favorite takeaway? What was you two favorite takeaway?
Yeah. So
what was your favorite?
Mine was again, we're back to intention, right? I think that when you're intentional and present, you know, it really can eliminate a lot of the things that you do to sabotage yourself, you know, because we can get into, oh my gosh, what are they going to think about what I'm saying? Or, you know, do they want me to do this? Or, you know, you go through this whole conversation in your own head and you don't give anybody else a say. So I think when you really hone into what your intention is, you know, you're just being able to lead with your heart. And that is what helps to have a better connection and open other people up. So that would be mine. But what about you, Raschell?
For me, I liked the comment. I can't remember the gentleman's name. I think it was Dominic, because I think he left, but he said not to judge a book by its cover, meaning someone who may look big, maybe potentially aggressive, could be really gentle and sweet, and to really get to know that person. So for me, that was huge, because we do that. We see someone and we're like automatically, oh, this is how they are. And we already frame it out, when we need to really get to know that person. And then we can like, oh, okay, this is who you are. So for me, that was a big takeaway.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And we had lots of people that joined us. We had Mary, who was here last week. We had Raquel. We had Sia. We had Gayle. Mike was doing a great job commenting as well. And we had Tara, who was here. So we had a lot of engagement, and we really appreciate that. That's really what helps us. And we do actually go back and kind of go through these comments so that we can make sure that we are answering some questions, because this was a serious topic, even though we were having fun at some moments, because you might have a husband, a brother, a cousin, uncle, where you notice some of these things with. And so we definitely should make sure that we have some tools in our toolbox so we can dive into some of these hard topics. So thank you guys again so much for watching. And do you guys have any other things going on this week that we need to know about? Raschell or Misty?
I think this week for me, no, I'm it's kind of a nice quiet week for me. So this is good. I need a quiet week.
As you know, I'm wrapping up the collection for the book that the three of us are doing with a bunch of other authors. So I'll be taking my last few authors this week, and then we'll be going into completion and layout and all that kind of stuff. So that's very exciting.
Love that.
That's what I'll be doing all week.
Well, tell everybody. I know you made a post, and you know, sometimes I don't always get to comment, but tell them about this project just quickly.
Oh, we're putting out a book, and Raschell and LaChelle are two of the authors. There'll be about 30 to 35 authors when we put it together, and each one is just putting a small piece together about now what? This happened, now what? Protecting that space after a change or growth or a decision that not everybody found popular, but you have to protect it. And so there's just a lot of different people. If someone's interested, they can reach me at campgroundtbd@gmail.com. I have a few spots left, and I would love to have a phone call. But otherwise, look for the book to come out because I've read everything that's come in so far, and it's really going to be a powerful piece. I'm very excited about it.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you guys so much for watching. And if you and Misty could stay around for a few minutes after this, but thank you guys so much. And we look forward to you guys on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.